Okay, hello everyone. If you're watching this recording, I want to welcome you into this session where we'll be talking with Kenji Yoshikawa, who studies permafrost, not only in the US, in parts of Alaska and that, but also in other parts of the country. And so we're really excited to have him with us today. We'll just wave to Kenji for now. Okay, there's Dr. Kenji. And I want to introduce myself. I'm Bonnie Murray. I am sitting here at NASA Langley Research Center, and I'm bringing you this session. These are called Meet the Scientist sessions, and they're part of a project at the University of Alaska Fairbanks known as Arctic and Earth Signs. So all of the classes that you see connected today are working with teachers who took training this summer up in Alaska at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and they're implementing globe projects in their classroom. And so we're connecting them today to talk to Dr. Kenji about the cryosphere and the permasphere. Excuse me, the cryosphere and permafrost in the cryosphere specifically. I want to also take a minute to thank NASA's Science Mission Directorate because the funding for this project comes from them. So thank you to NASA Science Mission Directorate, thank you to Katie and Elena at UAF who moved the project forward, and thank you to Dr. Kenji for connecting with us. All right, so all of my thank yous out of the way. Let's see, what else do I need to tell you? I mentioned that I am at NASA Langley Research Center. That is all the way down in Virginia, pretty much in the Atlantic Ocean. Parts of it are in the Atlantic Ocean, right around the Chesapeake Bay. I don't believe we have any permafrost here, but I really did enjoy touching the permafrost when I was in Alaska this summer. So I hope we enjoy hearing about that today as well. Let's introduce all of the classes that are connected. So first we have Miss Trotsky's class, and they're connecting from near Fairbanks. If you'll just wave at this point, say hi, there we go. All right, so they are near Fairbanks, Alaska. Then we have Miss Wild's class, and they are also near Fairbanks, Alaska. If you'll just take a minute and wave, there they are. And let's see, I can show you each class as we go. There they are. And this was Miss Trotsky's class. We'll wave to them again real quickly. There we go. And then we have also a class joining from Koyukuk, Alaska. There they are. And Marie Dayton is there with them. There's Marie, I see her. And hello to you, students. And then we have two classes joining us from the lower 48. They're in Polson, Montana. So let's say hello to Miss Ayers and Miss Wyman's class. Hello to you and welcome. Awesome. So glad that all of you could be with us. I also want to give you a heads up that at right about 11 o'clock, one other class will be joining us from Shishmaref, Alaska. They needed to join a little bit later, so they'll be popping in right about 11 o'clock, and we'll welcome them when they come in. All right, so I'm going to move right on. I think we covered everything. I want to tell you a little bit about Dr. Kenji. So you may know that Dr. Kenji studies permafrost. You may have looked at some of the videos that he's done. He does some videos as Tunnel Man, and so you may have watched those. You may know that Dr. Kenji raises reindeer, and he lives on a reindeer farm. You may know also, this is an interesting fact, Dr. Kenji has traveled to every single village throughout Alaska, and in many of them he installed permafrost tubes, so that we can test through the globe permafrost protocol and measure that active layer above the permafrost. So that part you may know. One fact that you may not know, and is especially interesting to us here at NASA, is that Dr. Kenji became interested in permafrost as he was watching Mars rovers land. He was watching those rovers land on the surface of Mars and then explore and investigate the ice under the surface of Mars. And that's where Dr. Kenji got interested in studying permafrost. Is that right, Dr. Kenji?
I said a little more detail. Should I talk something?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, you can fill us in on any other information, and we'll be hearing a PowerPoint from you shortly. But it was your interest in watching that activity on Mars that sparked that first.
Yeah, I think, you know, actually, Robert is kind of later we worked together for the NASA, of course, but before, just I was everybody's age, like I was middle school time, 1976. NASA landed on the Mars for the Viking 1, Viking 2. That's not rover, just lander. Yeah. And then that's the picture. That's since then I'm studying permafrost. I wanna become permafrost scientist after 1976 for landing on Mars. Yes, that's very much. Then after that, like today, like since 90s, we are every 2 years. NASA sending orbiter to Mars, then that's you helping together to try to understand the ice underneath that surface. Yes.
Awesome, right? So studying the planets and studying the permafrost can all come together in one picture. Neat idea to keep in mind. All right, so before we actually have your presentation today, Kenji, I'm going to go to each one of the classes and get some questions for you so the students can learn a little bit about you and you can learn a little bit about the students. So I'm going to start over in Polson, Montana with Miss Ayers and Miss Wyman's class. There we are. All right. Is there someone who wants to come up and ask a question? Okay, go ahead.
Kenji, hi, my name is... Hang on. Okay. Hi, Kenji. My name is Tristan, and I have a question for you. How fun is your research?
So, say again?
How fun is your research?
How fun?
Yes.
Okay.
How fun is it?
Okay, it is. That's a good starting question. Thank you very much. So, you know, it is very fun. First things, the how fun, it's hard to tell, you know, every time different, but I very like the adventure. I very like to go new place, to go something. So that means what I do, like earlier Bonnie told you about, you know, I really want to see all the village in Alaska, maybe different each village. That I want to say, that's why I go around. But if you don't study permafrost, I have no really opportunity to go there. No opportunity to meet the student, the teachers. But if I study permafrost, it's a great opportunity to go village to put the sensor in. That's, you know, works great. You know, I like to study permafrost. I want to meet the people. I want to see the new place. They're all fitting great. Then not just Alaska. I can go Canada or Siberia, Russia, you know, that all interesting place I want to go. I can go this, you know, job, which is very fun. Plus, today, you know, actually tonight, I'm going to Peru for Andes. That's also permafrost on the mountain. That's why I climb, go to mountains, put in the sensor. That's, you know, sometimes I go Antarctic, sometimes I go Andes or Kilimanjaro or Arctic Ocean. I can go everywhere. That's very fun for this job or research. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm curious, the students there in Polson, how many of you like that idea of traveling to lots of different places to be able to study? Very interesting. Yeah. Yeah. You know, we talked about classes from Alaska connecting, and there's certainly permafrost in Alaska to study. But how about that? Kenji gets to go to lots of different places to study that permafrost because it has to do with elevation as well. So more of that later. I don't want to get into the details yet. Okay, let's go over to one of the Fairbanks schools. How about Miss Trotsky's class? Is there someone there that would like to ask a question? Okay. Yeah, just kneel down maybe, or, you know, get a little bit lower, kind of sit on the floor so we can see you. There you go. Thank you. Okay, here we go.
There we
go.
Hello, Kenji.
Hello.
So my question is, how long does it take for permafrost to form?
Permafrost to form.
Yes.
Okay, that's a very scientific question. Thank you. So the permafrost, most of permafrost today, you are living in the Fairbanks area, there's the last glacial time. So I mean, about, you know, 25 to 30,000 years ago, much colder than today. That time, most of the permafrost is developed. So that about forming time. Then little bit another permafrost is about 100 years ago. We have a little colder time. We call Little Ice Age. At that time, little bit permafrost developed, but the majority of permafrost is last glacial time. Is that okay? Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great question. And I'm going to just real quickly here share, if I can, let's see, there we go. We have some definitions, and teachers, I sent all these out to you so you can share it at another time if you want to. But there we're seeing the definition of permafrost and the fact that it has to be frozen for at least 2 consecutive years also. Okay, so nice little review there as well. All right, let's move over to, let's move over to the other North Star class, and we'll go to Miss Wild's classroom. Is there someone there who would like to ask a question?
Hi, my name is Mason. I was wondering what your greatest motivation as a scientist was.
Just say again?
Just say it a little bit louder, please.
My name is Mason, and I was wondering what your greatest motivation as a scientist was.
So
your greatest motivation, right? Yeah, like what motivated you to be a scientist? What was your greatest motivation?
Oh, I see. Thank you for that. It is, I little mentioned about earlier, but this is a very important question, I think, especially by myself. Do you know I'm originally Japanese? I born Tokyo. I grew up in Tokyo, not in the United States originally. But today, I'm a U.S. citizen. But how I came up there is I was middle school. I really exciting to see the Mars. For the first, NASA landed on Viking spacecraft on Martian surface. Take a picture. Well, that's really exciting because there is a sky there in that planet. Then looks like very similar like our planet. Then I really wanna go there. Then I'm thinking about how to go there. At least 1970s. We thinking, within the 10 years, people will go to Mars. That we believe it because 69 people go to Moon, 76 already spacecraft on the Mars. There must be going to, soon people go there. But since then, never happened so far. But at least that time we believe go. Then okay, then what I should study for the going to Mars? So then I figure out, permafrost, a lot of permafrost on Mars. So that's why we should study about Mars. I should study that. Then I should, professional about permafrost scientist. So that's why I'm very motivated about this. That's why when I go college, I picked, of course, physics about cold regions, then graduate, the PhD, everything about permafrost. Then, of course, move to United States, much more easy to working through the Martian study too. Then I moved about 25, 30 years ago. I moved from Japan to Alaska. Is that okay? So I'm really motivated about, extraterrestrial planet permafrost. It's very exciting to see. Thinking about very fun.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And so one of the things that I'm thinking to add on to that is, that's part of the reason that NASA is studying Mars, is because we believe it's some of the things that may have happened on Mars are where we are headed. Mars used to have an atmosphere. It doesn't have much of an atmosphere anymore, and so we're wondering if maybe there's some similarities there and we want to compare them. So studying that permafrost here is really helpful, and studying the permafrost there and making those comparisons, really helpful. I would like to ask a question related to what the student just asked. What was your biggest frustration? Certainly you had some things to overcome that made you want to turn back and give this dream up. But what was it that frustrated you, and how did you get through that?
Of course, kind of, this is a very simple question. Thank you very much. We can't go there. That's the biggest frustration, right? Like, like maybe many Alaskan students knows about, we have a pingo or ice wedge. A lot of permafrost make geomorphology, like landscape. Then sometimes, we are not sure, is this pingo or just a mound or ice inside or not? we just don't know sometimes in Alaska, but very simple solution. When we go there, drill through, get the sample, we know that what is this. But when you go Martian study, we can drill, we can go there. So the only we see the like remote sensing. Look at the sky to see the geomorphology there. We have to guess best. So I mean that's the biggest frustration too. We can't really get exact solution like our planet. That's the difficulty about studying about the extra planet.
Okay, thanks for pointing that out, Kenji. You're right. And remote sensing is a great way to get information as well. We could talk a whole session about that, but that's for another day. Let's go up to Ms. Dayton's class in Koyukuk, Alaska, and get a question from them. Make sure you're unmuted. I think you're there. You go. Good job.
It's Mr. Day's class.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Day. Go right ahead. Thank you.
I have one of my seventh graders that has a question.
Go ahead, ask. Go up there in the front and say your name.
You might have to know that. Okay, go ahead. That's good.
My name is Morgan, and what have you found out about permafrost since you started?
Sorry, again, say again. Well,
What have you found out about permafrost since you started?
So what have you found out about permafrost since you started your study?
what's found out? That's a very sharp question. That's a difficult. Yeah, I think, we of course, I study
So Kenji, excuse me a second. I know you're going to talk a lot about that in your presentation, but could we fine that down a little bit? What's the most interesting thing or something you didn't expect to find? What something that really stands out to you? Because I know your presentation will cover what you found out. So let's think about that part.
I see. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is actually a difficult question. Yeah, especially I work on the palm for 30 years. Different topics as are all interesting always. So, but right now, I'm very interested about where is the coldest permafrost in our planet. That's very interesting for me. So I try to put the sensor on the Denali, like a farmer named Mount McKinley, or maybe coldest, or maybe Antarctic is coldest. I try to looking for the coldest permafrost in our planet. That's I'm interested about this. Then I got several data from these mountains.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That was really interesting, right? Where's the coldest permafrost? Very cool. Great question. All right, let's go back over to Polson, Montana, and we'll get another question from the classroom there.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Natalie, and I have 2 questions for you.
Okay.
Why did you become a scientist?
What is what?
Why did you become a scientist?
Oh, okay. Okay, I kind of quickly I can answer. That's I earlier mentioned that I was middle school. I very interested about the Mars. Then I wanna become scientist to wanna go there. That's why I become scientist. Yeah. Then yes.
Here's my other one. What
Okay.
kind of scientist are you?
Okay, I mainly work on the permafrost. Then, but especially my interest is permafrost temperature and sometimes water in the permafrost. Permafrost supposed to be no water, be frozen. Sometimes there. And I work on the water. We call it hydrology. And mainly I work on the permafrost hydrology. Water in permafrost.
So I'm thinking back to the question from Polson, Montana. Thank you. So does this fall into physics or biology, or what were the precursors? What came before permafrost specifically?
Oh, that question to me?
Well, I'm thinking, from a student standpoint, is it physics that would lead to a study of permafrost, or biology, or is it really a combination of all of those, or chemistry, or which one?
very much physics. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not, originally I'm interested about the Martian permafrost. In general, no biological environment. I mean, I like to permafrost itself is very interesting. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, but it does, I do want to point out that it has a lot of the other sciences included. Physics was what I was thinking, so thanks for confirming that. But sometimes you're finding organisms that are frozen in the permafrost, so there's a little biology to study, and there's certainly chemistry to study. So if whichever one of those sciences is of interest to you, students, let me try and get that out. There's a place to study that within the study of the cryosphere.
Right, exactly.
Okay, let's go back to Ms. Trotsky's class. Let me go over here to them. There we go. Would you like to ask another question? Yep, and you got to unmute again, I know. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kennedy, and my question is, do some places in Alaska have more permafrost than others, and why?
Okay, yeah. Biggest things, very biggest things. Earlier, you mentioned about, a lot of permafrost is formed by last glacial time, like about 25 to 30,000 years ago. So that time, place has a glacier is no permafrost because glacier is a kind of installation, not cold air doesn't reach the ground. So that means that any place has a lot of glacier is no permafrost. The place has no glacier at that time, glaciation time, has a permafrost. So then when you're thinking about, maybe you learned about the Laurentide glacier, big ice cap in the New York to all the Great Lakes. These areas no permafrost, right? Because glacier cover. Another big place is Scandinavia, like Norway, Finland, Sweden, Denmark. These areas big ice cap, no permafrost. Then Eastern Siberia, Alaska has no glacier much. We have a little bit glacier on the Alaska Range and Brooks Range, but most of the places no glacier. That's why there are lots of permafrost. Is this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Awesome. Great question. All right, let's go down to Miss Wild's classroom. Let me get over there. Would you like to ask another question? And you'll need to unmute again. I know we get to work through all the technical stuff too. Thanks.
Where is the last place to install the frost tube?
Sorry, I missed
So
it.
where have you installed frost tubes? Can you give us a couple of places?
What was the last place?
Where are you? Which school are you?
So these are the students that are below Fairbanks.
Yeah.
So Kenji's question is, where are you in Alaska?
What's the school? What's the name of the school?
What's the name of the school?
Two Rivers.
Two Rivers.
Rivers.
You got Two Rivers. Wow, that's good. I'm going to Chino Spring Road a lot. So when the Two Rivers, there is a frost tube. When you go to the parking to the school, go to the toward to the Chino Spring side. I mean, east side of your building in the forest, we have a frost tube. But maybe I don't know today. We used to have it 10 years ago. Then yeah, but it could be still there.
And she wants to know when the last place you installed one was somewhere else, or the most interesting place.
Oh, so the most recent one, is that what she's trying to ask?
Yes.
Yes, like what are some new places where they're being installed, Kenji?
Oh, I see. Yeah, just last week I was actually we finished everything, all the Alaska like 10 years ago, but we just reinstalled at the Iditarod School District, like McGrath, Chagrin, and Holy Cross, and Anvik, and Grayling. These schools we put frost tube last month.
Okay, great. Thank you. Did that answer the question now? Great. All right, I'm going to go back down to Polson, Montana, because there's actually 2 classes there. So let me go over there and see if they have another question. And you'll need to unmute again. I think you're still muted. Oh, nope, you're unmuted. You're good.
Hi, my name is Alicia, and can the ice melting affect us here?
Huh?
So can the ice that's melting affect them? They're in Polson, Montana.
Ice, do you have ice melting in Montana?
No, they're asking, is the ice that's melting in Alaska, can that affect them in Polson, Montana?
I see. Okay, yeah, so sorry, it's a little hard to
Oh,
get.
you're good. You're good.
Okay, yeah. I don't think really much affected. Yeah, they also, Alaska, we don't have much, ice there here. More like sea ice is the issue, but I'm more working on the permafrost. And we have a permafrost, still ice there, some ice in the permafrost, but not a big amount. Yeah, not a big issue. But I know one thing is in affect is, even, we have a big earthquake in the night 2002 November. That time, we have big active fault. We call it Denali fault. And that Alaska has, we have a lot of earthquakes, along the fault line. If that big one, Montana's groundwater affected. When the Montana's well, the water level changing by the earthquake in Alaska. Otherwise, yeah, I don't think the ice doesn't.
Okay. I will add to that, and Kenji, whoops, let me get my picture back up here. Kenji, if you want to add anything as well. Remember, we have these wind belts, right? You've probably studied the belts of wind, students that go around the earth, and they're in specific places because the poles are cold and the equator is hot. And the fact that that's the case, cold poles and warm equator, creates these winds and the circulation of the winds around the earth. Well, if the poles are no longer cold, that will affect everywhere else on Earth. And so there may not be a direct connection between ice melting in a specific place in Alaska and affecting Polson, Montana. But what changes in Alaska does affect the entire United States and the planet as a whole. Kenji, is there anything you need to add to that? Or?
Yeah, so of course, Earth is one system, right? Any place it is affected. It can always happen somewhere other place affected. Yes, that's a primary issue. Exactly. Yes.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Kenji. All right, and thank you from the student there. Thank you so much. All right, and it's right about 11 o'clock now. I have. Well, depending where you are, schools in Alaska, it's 11. It's right about 1 o'clock in Polson, Montana, 3 o'clock my time here. And I see that Shishmaraf has joined us, I think. Let's see, they were here. Oh, there they are. I see them. Okay. All right, so I'm going to let Mr. Stenik's class just wave hello. And Kenji, we'll start with your presentation, then we'll talk more after your presentation for the schools that can stay connected. All right?
Okay.
All right, so hello to Shishmaraf. All right. Excellent. All righty, so if you'll just mute your mics, I'll switch over. And classes that got a chance to talk to Kenji beforehand, as I said, you are welcome to do so. We'll stop Kenji at about 11:20, 11:23. Even if you're in the middle of your presentation, I'll just ask you to pause for a second because I know some schools need to disconnect at that time, okay? All right, so Kenji, I'm gonna put your presentation up and share that. Let's see if I can do that. There we go. So let me share that.
Yeah,
all
that's
right.
good.
Yep, and I will advance the slides as you direct me, Kenji.
Okay, thank you very much, Bonnie. So just try to quickly talk about permafrost. And remember the permafrost is earlier. Bonnie tell you about the definition. Any ground material frozen below 0 degrees C more than 2 years, that's what we call permafrost. So then when look at the Earth, actually no, we are all most of you live in the permafrost. Then even the Montana school, you have a seasonal frost too. I mean the like ground freezing is a very cool things, very exciting things. Do you know why? Because you see the solar system, most of the planet is frozen. Just maybe the Venus is maybe not frozen. Then even Mercury is a polar region has ice. We confirm too. I mean looks like when we live in our planet, frozen ground permafrost is a minority looks like. But when you look at the solar system, almost all of the place, even the universe, most of the place is cold, like frozen environment. I mean, studying permafrost and frozen ground is a very cool things just for the universe. Next, please. Okay, yeah. So then not just studying the cool, look at the life in live in Alaska is very cool too. Permafrost is frozen, meaning we can use the storage like the freezer, natural freezer. Then most of the North Slope villages, we have a native ice syrup. They put in the mark tack or like a whale meat or seal meat or bird and fishes. So that's very useful for this. That's also, we have to monitor the permafrost temperature, how it goes in the future. That's very another cool things. Next, please. So then what I did, we really need, earlier mentioned about, I really like to go visit all the villages in Alaska, about 250 villages in Alaska. Then we like to see, then also very important things is what is permafrost condition each schools or each villages. That's why I try to go there to drill hole, put in the temperature sensor. Next, please. So then when you go to the village, one of the most exciting things is how to go there. That's, one of the difficulty. Then especially, you're thinking about maybe, driving car, but in Alaska, most of the village is not connected by the road system. I mean, many people go by flying to the villages, but flying doesn't really works great for me because I have to carry a lot of engines and drill equipment. Then also, flying is very much dependent by the weather. Then Alaskan remote is most of the time weather is not great. Then cancel airplane is very common. So then if we go snowmobile in Alaska, we call snow machine. So when go snow machine to the village, that's, I can carry many stuff, even engines, okay. Then also, weather, most of the time I can drivable. So I visiting all of the Alaskan village is by the snowmobile, except Aleutians and Southeast Alaska, I use boat. Then also I go to Canadian villages, same way go to this snow machine. Next, please. So that is a very fun trip to go there. Then what I do, usually put the temperature sensor on the ground and frost tube. Then especially I wanna, everybody to monitor the frost tube for, very easy to install, very easy to monitor. Then now Globe website, you can input the data for frost tube. That's very useful for everybody. Then you can see this, picture, the right side. Frost tube is a very simple low-tech tube. Just clear tube has a water in it. Then I just put in the water, make a color. Then it once a freeze, water color is gone, just ice clear. Then water portion still color in it. That case you can see how deep ground freezing. Every time you pull out the tube, you can easy to tell how deep ground freezing. That's very useful information for the future too. Next, please. So how it looks like? It looks like that, right? Like I put the blue color for the water, white color for ice. This most left side. Summertime, all ground is not frozen in the active layer, but below the active layer, permafrost is frozen. But of course, Montana or some of the Fairbanks school is not a permafrost area. You don't have a permafrost, but still you can use the frost tube, exactly same method to measure seasonal frost layer to monitoring. So then in the fall, start freezing in the ground surface. Then early winter, going to progress to the freezing, go down. Then like midwinter, most of the active layers frozen. Then like late winter, completely frozen. Then you see the old picture, so the depths of the freezing is changing. That's just simply pull out measure, but you already knows this. Somebody have to pull out, right? Now computer or a lot of electronics develop, but you can't really use a computer. Somebody has to pull out to measure by hand. That's very, low tech, but very sure things. We can measure how deep ground freeze. So same time, that if we do all the school in Alaska and the cold place in the United States, we can share this data as very useful in the future. Next, please. So what happens is typically, in Alaska, permafrost area, we have active layer, meaning seasonal thaw layer in summertime, then wintertime freeze again. Like this is typically happen every year. Like this, I showing the x-axis is time, y-axis is depth. The active layer is thawing, then freezing, thawing, freezing. 2 years picture. Then next, please. Sometimes every 10 years, what happens is so mild winter, not cold, or a lot of snow, then ground doesn't freeze completely at the end of winter. That is a very serious problem. If this happens, start permafrost thaw. So I mean, the kind of strange, but if you're thinking about permafrost thawing, like gone, it looks like 100 meter permafrost. If, for example, gone takes, we have to monitor the permafrost itself, if you like, but it isn't. You just up by 1 meter of the active layer to monitor. You can tell in the future permafrost thawing or not. Then this picture, if I say I lighted Tarik is not frozen layer all year round. That's what we call Tarik. So if Tarik develop, active layer is not completely freeze in the winter time, permafrost start degrading, meaning permafrost start thawing. So that's simply if we have a frost tube, you can see the future permafrost, how it goes. That's what we try to do in this program. Thank you. The next, please. So then we have a lot of data last 15 years. We work on this. Then already, if you go to my website, you can download the Google Earth KMG file. You can get all the village information, permafrost temperature, all the data in it. Just click this. You can use the, nowadays, Google Earth is very fun to see around all the villages, all the mountains and valleys. That's including this file. You can see the permafrost conditions. Next, please. So then also maybe you see some of this, right? I try to make some more easy video for understand what is permafrost, what is ice on permafrost, what is geomorphology. Hopefully you can enjoy some of the video about this. Next, please. So then this is some of the result. You see that this is my monitoring site in Alaska. Actually, all of the village in it. Then you see the temperature difference. Then simply red or orange is no permafrost. Is a very warm permafrost area. Then already you can tell, right? Most of the Alaskan village is very warm or no permafrost. Then very little villages, like especially North Slope, has still cold, but otherwise, very warm permafrost. That means we may have a big changing in the not too far future. That's why we work together to monitor the active layer, permafrost temperature. That's good to checking all the time. That's what our program is. Next, please. So that then you see that when look at the permafrost distribution for our northern hemisphere, you see that earlier some of the very good question about why so many permafrost in Alaska. Now you can see, right? A lot of permafrost, like picture, you see the little green color, make a little color. This area has a permafrost. Then you see that almost no permafrost in the eastern United States or western Eurasia or Europe. Right? The most of the permafrost is Siberia and Alaska. So these places really we have to monitor the permafrost temperature and active layer, which is, most of these Siberian schools and Alaskan school, we have a frost tube and the permafrost monitoring station. Now, if you wanna exchange, friendship or anything to Siberian schools, we can do too. We have all the same networks. Next, please. So this is the actual point of the school. Of course, you see the Alaska's a lot of dot because we have all the villages. The Siberia, I don't go actually all of this. Still a lot of school. More people live in Siberia than Alaskan, population. But I try to cover almost all the villages and schools. Then yeah, this color is a little odd. Sorry, I should put all red. Red and yellow dot is not that mean nothing. Both is a school. We have a frost tube and monitoring stations. Next, please. Yeah, for example, maybe some of the Alaskan students interesting about, Russia feel like very far away, very difficult to go, but we are very close. This is middle of Bering Sea, the little Diomede Island, United States, the big Diomede Island, Russia, only 3 kilometers away each other. Then between these two islands, we have an international deadline. So the big Diomede is always tomorrow. If we live in the Little Diomede, then of course we have a site in Little Diomede school too. But anyways, Russia is very close from us. Then we are these areas, politically very away each other. But for the science, we want to monitor continuously from Alaska to Russia or Alaska to Siberia to how temperature changing is. That's what we try to doing together. Next, please. So there are other things I earlier mentioned about, I love to go snow machine trip all over Alaska. I've been to Koyuk or Shishmaref before. So then these are all the villages visiting, but also I really want to go to the Canada or go Northwest Passage to go there. Then about 4 years ago, I just traveled to all the way to Atlantic Ocean by snow machine, stopped by the villages in Canada. Next, please. Like this, Canada is actually not many villages compared to Alaska. So that's kind of easy to visiting all of the village in Canada. Then this is the time we're traveling to the Atlantic, that we stop by the villages and put in the frost tube. Next, please. Then this is a little, scientific part. I don't know. You know the Homer and the Yagik, both the town or village in Alaska. Then Homer and Yagik, both south of Anchorage, then almost same latitude. But I just mentioned about this. I showing this is that both area has no permafrost, but seasonally frost, which is very similar like Montana. So then anything, these two. The ground freezing is a big difference. It's a little hard to see. You can see the triangle mark. Black triangle mark is a frost depth of the Yagik. So then when the September to May keep going to freezing and almost 1.6 meter, almost higher, taller than your height. I think that's ground freezing in Yagik. But Homer has a lot of snow. Then about November, lots after snow, Homer no more freezing, stay about 40 centimeters of the ground freezing. So that's we really want to get this kind of data. If we have this kind of data, all of the village in Alaska or Montana or everywhere in the cold region, very cool, We know how much ground freezing, how much snow, or, people has a lots of pipe underneath the house or schools for sewage or drinking water, or, like water inside the pipe. If ground freezing deeper, all the pipe broke, right, in the freeze. That's very nice to know that for engineering purpose too. But sometimes for science purpose or climatic change, it's nice to know how much ground freeze in each of your area. That's what we try to work on this. Next, please. So then another hazard, have a lot of problem like this frost heave. When the frost ground heave up, that's really another we work on this. Next, please. So then also, the Matterhorn, beautiful mountain in Switzerland, then also Mount Cook in New Zealand. These mountains are big hazard by frost, frost and the thaw and frost keep doing this and mountains broken. That's another issue we study about that. Next, please. So then when earlier I mentioned a little bit, where is the coldest place on our planet? I tried to go into the Antarctic. This is one of the Ellsworth Mountains. That's very high Antarctic, like 80 degrees south. Then we try to put the temperature sensor for the rocks. Then you see that about how cold it is. Actually, not too cold, like only -40 in the winter time, summertime, sometime above 0. Next, please. Then, yeah, when go to this is I'm go walking by ski to the South Pole. Then we stop by the tiny mountain. This is you see the Thiel Mountains. That's the most southernmost mountains in our planet. So that's we try to get the temperature too, but not too cold. That's my impression. Next, please. Then colder than that interior Antarctic. This is the Denali, the McKinley. We have a same setting up near the summit of McKinley. Today we should call the Denali. So that's next, please. That is actually much colder. You see the Denali's north-facing slope of Denali. It's the blue line. You see the almost -60 in the winter time. Then summertime. Very rarely go above 0. Then I just lay over to the interior Antarctic versus near summit of Denali. The temperature very similar, but Denali is slightly colder than interior Antarctic. That's I learned about this. So so far, Denali is one of the coldest place in our planet. Then about -27 degrees C for the annual mean temperature. That's maybe the coldest permafrost I looking at. Next, please. So then another thing is, this is for the Powell Creek School. I have this kind of graph for almost all of the villages in Alaska. So then that's I looking for to make it. Then you see that what is this? This is these are x-axis is temperature, y-axis is depth. Then we call this is trumpet curve. Maybe Bonnie, do you have is it easy to go to the book?
Yep, hang on one second. Okay, and there we go.
Yeah. See the trumpet, the instrument, right? Trumpet. So if trumpet is like the end of the trumpet, like make wider, then if this go upside down and to the direction, that's similar curve. That's why we call trumpet curve. Okay, thank you. Can you back to the presentation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So see that now that means that we just call this is trumpet curve, like looking at the up. So then again, temperature versus depth. Then you see I put in the plot the every month's temperature. I just put the arrow now. Most importantly, I want you guys to remember this for the arrow. See the little brown color is you see that this is April. So that means what means of course like January, February is coldest months. Sometimes March, on surface, right? But underground, only 1 meter below ground is April. May is coldest month. Like, April meaning already snow start melting. Looks like spring coming, but the ground is coldest. So that's very typically happen. So that doesn't mean, maybe you have many Alaskan people has a lot of well, has an electric heat tape. Then many people put in the electric heat tape is cold day, but cold day is not cold in the underground. Like springtime is the coldest month in Alaska. So that time already ground is start to spring, but you need to plug into the heat tape for the pipe not freezing. So that's we see that most of the place. Next, please. So of course, we try to work on the not just Alaska, Siberia, and Antarctic. I love to go travel many places. Then this is the Kilimanjaro, top of the Kilimanjaro. We drill many places to the high mountain for tropical. Kilimanjaro is almost equator, very strong sun, then very hot ground surface, but still, glacier and permafrost there. Next, please. So they end up most of the all of the Alaskan schools should have this book about permafrost in our time. Then maybe you want to know more about permafrost and the active layer program and the data of your village or your school. You see there must be library or science teacher, somebody has this book in Alaska that you can read. This is more detailed. This is, for example, Kongia picture there, but of course other place everywhere in this book too. Then hopefully you enjoyed this book. Then some if you cannot find it, you can see the HTTPS and you see the website link there. I put in the link. You can go there. You can download the electric version of this. I think this last shot, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I stopped sharing. That was the last slide, and I wanted to say that that's another link that I can send. I did send the link already to the book that we looked at the trumpet picture from, right, Kenji?
Yeah.
Do you have that in front of you? Okay, there you go. No, go ahead. Yes.
This book, you try to, Alaskan schools. Try to look at this. Hope. I think I sent to all of your schools. Should be having. For example, you can see that this is a koyukuk. You see this one? There.
Okay, so every one of the schools in the Alaska districts will be able to find themselves in that book. Great. Yeah. Okay, and they have that link. Well, thank you, Kenji. I want to pause just for a moment because I know some schools need to connect. So do me a favor, please. If you are a school that needs to disconnect right now, raise your hand so I can let you say goodbye and do any closeout needed. Okay, so let me come over here. Thank you so much. So that is our classroom in Polson, Montana. So is there one last thing you need to ask or say or anything that needs to be done before you go?
Thank you for Skyping with us, Kenji.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. And thanks again for your flexibility there. Thanks so much for connecting. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's see. There we go. All right. So Koyukuk, I'm going to ask you, is there anything else you need to say, do, ask Kenji or myself before you disconnect?
No, just a great hearty thank you very much. So thank you.
All right, great. And if you don't have a copy of the book, Kenji showed you the page, so make sure you get a copy of the book. All righty, and then let's go to one of the classes that's near Fairbanks. Hello to Miss Trotsky's class.
Hi. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye. All right. So Ken, hello. So your students get to spend some time with Kenji now. So is there someone, maybe Sarah, who needs to ask a question? Hi, Sarah.
One of the questions one of our students asked was, how deep do the frost tubes go?
Yeah, that's actually for Shishimare, it's kind of easy. We have active layers only maybe 30, 50 centimeter. I mean, I think 1 meter should be enough to the frost tube depths. 4 feet.
So 3-4 feet is how deep the frost tube goes. I was trying to find our page in your book to show them what our trumpet looks like, and it's not quite the same as the rest, where like all the years kind of come together at one temperature, or all the months come together at one temperature. It kind of is broader at the base.
Yeah, just a minute. Ken, where I try to which page the Shishimare? Please see the page.
106.
106.
So the rest of them all come together like at one temperature, but our Shishmaref's is a little broader.
Okay, that's very good question. You know, Shishimare is I usually 3 meters is enough to come together, that we call the zero annual amplitude temperature. But Shishimare has a sandy terrain, very sandy. I mean, thermal conductivity is much higher, which meaning go to the deeper to the zero annual amplitude temperature. That happened Shishimare, and like for example, I remember the Wainwright has happened. Yeah, several villages like coastal village has a sandy terrain, has this kind of terrain. Then if we want to reach the meter point, of course I have to drill more deeper. Like for example, looks like for Shishimare, maybe I need a deep, like at least 7-8 meter. Then should be this meter point, right? So that's if we want to make a beautiful trumpet curve at Shishimare, maybe I need to drill 6, 7, 8 meter at least to meet that. But today's technology, you see all the data logs monitoring, you can almost tell that which temperature is for the meet zero annual amplitude. That's why we stopped the 4 meter for technical reason, but still we can see that your annual mean temperature should be around -3, you know, for this graph, right? So that's why we stop it. But of course, it's for beauty. Drill for 8 meter should be more beautiful for pilot curve, trumpet curve.
I had a question. I lost it.
Ken, while you're thinking, is there a student that wants to ask a question? And we'll come back to you in just a minute.
A question about our permafrost.
And I'll ask something that I'm curious about. You are actually doing the frost tube monitoring, correct?
Yeah, we're hoping that we get Kenji to come out and drill us a couple tubes so we can see how the frost depth maybe changes the further you get away from the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry that I tried to make a scheduling, but I still try to go there, but I don't know the date yet.
So a student asked the question, how often do you monitor? So with the frost tubes, we should be monitoring how often?
Like once a week?
Once a week. Okay. And then how often do you check your, so there's a frost tube over here by the leaning power pole. And then he has another tube right next to it that you'll see that has digital sensors that go, how deep do the digital sensors go?
That should be 4 meters. This book data came from that, borehole. I mean, that place is this one. I mean, 4 meters.
12, 13. And that's checking data how often?
So that every hour.
Okay, so every hour, and then you haven't been out for a couple years, right?
Right. The battery should be dead now. Yeah,
So
we had to.
USB into it.
Yeah, actually, no, there is two options we have because Ken is a very well, trained science teacher. So that you can, of course, you can change the battery, restart, and everything. You guys are one of the projects can do it. Now, of course, when I go there next time, I love to do that too. There was another option. I just send another data logger to already started. Then you just hook the new data logger to just take out the old one, put the plug in the new one. That's another option to, several things we can do it. And especially, I know you are there very long time. Then you know very well about all the situations that I'm very comfortable to any of this.
Okay, I know one of my classes in the past asked, can you explain how the snow fence affects the permafrost and how it might affect erosion in the future?
Yeah.
Because since these guys are our future leaders, it's something that they're going to have to be aware of.
Yeah, I'm very interested about the still, snow fence. That's a very thermal impact for the, all kind of permafrost. The problem is the snow fence area. So I'm very interested about that too. Then how since the snow fence built quite a bit time now, then how much really the permafrost already thawed? I want to see it. There's very interesting place there. Then it could be the hazard in the future.
Okay. Anybody want to ask why it's a hazard? So why is it a hazard?
Just a simple.
Why is
you have most of the terrain your place is sand. If sand is frozen, is a thermal conductivity, like water doesn't penetrate. But when the sand is not frozen, water very easy to penetrate. So anything frozen or not, so different by sand. Like for example, clay is not really different. If frozen clay, so not frozen clay, both doesn't go through the water much. But sand dramatically changing with when the frozen, no water goes through. But when the thawed, a lot of water goes through. So your land is very sensitive about hydrology. That's why then snow fence is a place should be thawed faster.
You guys think of why it's thawed faster?
I have a question. So one of the words that I just heard Kenji use was hydrology. Anybody have a guess or know what hydrology is and can give me a short definition?
Something to do with water, Sarah says.
Oh, I just can't hear, I guess. Okay, that's what I wanted to, I wanted to know which student was talking. Okay, so what part told you it was something to do with water, Sarah?
Yeah, and then we added that it's water in the ground.
Okay, all right. So what part of the word told you it had something to do with water? Hydro, exactly right. Yes, awesome. Okay, so that hydro told you, hey, something to do with water. And then you've got that ology, hydrology. So the ology is the study. You're studying something about it. So what if you're studying animals and plants? What kind of ology is that one? Maybe you're studying cells of the body. What do you think?
Biology.
Guesses? Okay, I just can't hear. If the students could yell the answers out. I need to believe it's really you giving these answers, okay? All right, how about if you're studying the way elements on the periodic table go together, and this one doesn't even have an ology.
Studying the periodic table is part of what?
Yeah, maybe the way atoms form molecules, things like that. Any guesses? You work in a lab with test tubes and things like that is what comes to mind a lot?
He says chemicals.
Chemicals and chemistry, right. So I'm going somewhere with all of this. I have something I want to share with you as we're talking about the studies of different things, because all of you are high school seniors, correct? Raise your hand if you are a high school senior.
They all are.
Okay, I thought so, but I was checking. All right, so I want to share with you information. Here we go. Let me get this done. There we go. Okay. Once you are 16, actually, you don't even have to be out of high school. But certainly once you're leaving high school, you're able to do internships at NASA. And it doesn't have to be 10 weeks at a NASA center. That's typically what we think of as being an internship. But this is the site. So it's just intern.nasa.gov. You can go to that site and find out about all of the different internships that are offered. They're not all during the summer. Some of them are during the fall or during the spring season. Many times we have people that are here for the summer and they come back again for fall. We have an intern who's here doing that right now. So there's lots of different studies that you might be involved in that would lead to an internship at NASA. So I'm curious, are any of you interested in going on to study further beyond high school, maybe into college somewhere? Anybody?
How many of you are thinking about college?
Just thinking about it, yeah. Okay, great. And just thinking about it is the first step, because that's the thing. You'll notice that it's internships, and a lot of them are for undergrads. There are some other opportunities available, but once you enter college, you're considered an undergrad. And so that's where some of those internships would come in with the undergrads. But do look at that site. Again, it's just intern.nasa.gov. I think I already sent it out to Mr. Stenik. So if not, he knows how to find me. Let me stop sharing. There we go. Okay. But wanted to make sure that that was on your mind as well. So, and you weren't here at the beginning when I introduced Kenji. So I'll ask Kenji to just quickly share how you got interested in studying the ice, because this class connected a little bit later. Kenji, can you share that with them?
Oh, I see. I thought Ken knows about it. Maybe he already told about it.
Oh, did you already tell the students that story? I don't want to be redundant. Ken, did you already?
I did not tell them the story. I just told them the story about his trip here by snow machine. So,
okay.
Sarah, do you remember the story this summer? Sarah says, no, I don't remember. So maybe.
Right. Let's have Kenji share it. Go ahead, Kenji.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that's, long story make a short, I'm originally from Japan. I born Tokyo, grew up Tokyo. Then when I was middle school, like a little younger than you guys, right? 1976, the first NASA lander for Viking, we call Viking project. There's Viking 1 and Viking 2, two spacecraft landing on Mars. So then that's times I'm very shocked, looks like other planet looks like Earth, like almost desert in our, place. So then I really want to go to Mars. Then I want to go there, but what I should do? Then I just, Mars has a lot of permafrost. Then if I study permafrost, I may have a chance to go there. That's why I study permafrost. Then I become scientist. So that thing is, just simply, you live in the permafrost area. That's a very cool place, because like many people today, South wanna study about permafrost and to think about the other planet, but they have to come to Alaska to study. But we are already here. We know permafrost very well, right? I mean, you just your backyard study permafrost makes connecting the rest of the universe. That's the greatest things for Alaska, I think. So that's I want to become scientist. I want to study permafrost. Then about 25 years ago, I sailed from Japan to I actually stop offshore the Shishimare quite a bit. Then I go up to Barrow at that time. Then since then I'm living here in Alaska.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kenji. Yeah, I wanted the students to hear that story. And I really want to emphasize a point that you brought up as well. You know, you students in Shishmaref are in a perfect position, a very unique position to study that ice and to study that permafrost and to study how the ground is changing. So the valuable work that you're doing there is touching people all over. So just be aware of the impact that you can have. And I appreciate the work that you're doing and commend you for that. So thanks for that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll disconnect. Oh, go ahead, Kenji. I'm sorry.
I was going to tell Kenji, we'll start monitoring the frost tube. Are you going to be able to make it out, or is that not going to happen this year?
No, honestly, what happened is I tried to coordinate for the just straight shot for airplane, which is, we did several years ago. Remember, I just fly into your house and come to there. I tried to do this, but September is a hunting season. All the airplanes booked up. Then September for us is a great time for install frost tube, but the airplane is not available. Then timing doesn't fit. They're now good, but I'm going to South America today. Then I have to go other country this month and next month. Then I get free November 18. I back to Alaska. So then if still not cold, okay for that, I could go. But honestly, right now is the greatest time to visit you. But just my schedule that doesn't work for now. Then I just try to figure out what's the best way.
Yeah, calendaring is always the hardest part, trying to fit those schedules together. Yeah. Well, thank you. And we can stay connected just for a few minutes also, Ken, but I'm going to stop the broadcast here just so that we can keep within those time frames. Again, calendaring and schedules. And I know Kenji has to go off to South America today. So Kenji, I thank you so much for the information you shared. Students, can you express your appreciation? Thank you to Kenji.
Thank you, Kenji.
Thank you.
Or your next visit.
Keep in touch.